Have you ever wondered how the human spirit can endure through extreme medical conditions? This is a story about survival, resilience, and the marvels of modern medicine. In the serene landscapes of Chaguanas, Trinidad, lives 42-year-old Charmaine Saho, a woman marked by an extraordinary medical condition that has challenged her existence in every conceivable way. Charmaine suffers from Neurofibromatosis type 1, NF1, a rare genetic disorder that causes relentless tumor growth throughout her body. Charmaine Saho was just 13 when the first signs of her daunting journey with NF1 appeared, subtly and quietly, almost like whispers on her skin. Living in the vibrant yet serene town of Chaguanas, Trinidad, she was much like any other teenager, filled with dreams and a zest for life. It started with what seemed like harmless bumps, small and easily dismissed during those carefree days of youth. These were the kind of bumps that one might mistake for insect bites or minor skin irritations. Certainly nothing to worry about, at least that's what Charmaine and her family thought. However, as months turned into years, these innocuous bumps began to multiply, becoming more pronounced and widespread across her body. Each new growth brought a subtle hint of the challenges that lay ahead. At first, they were merely aesthetic concerns, slight blemishes on her otherwise vibrant teenage life. But as Charmaine transitioned into adulthood, these symptoms grew both in number and severity, marking the beginning of a much harsher reality. With each passing day, the bumps became a constant reminder of her unusual condition, casting a shadow over her everyday activities. The physical changes were accompanied by a growing apprehension about her health. What were these bumps? Why did they keep multiplying? These questions lingered in her mind and the minds of those around her, setting the stage for a life-altering quest for answers. This period of uncertainty and gradual discovery was a critical phase in Charmaine's life, as it subtly shifted from normalcy to a constant battle with her own body, a battle that would define her resilience and courage in the years to come. The early signs and symptoms of NF1 not only altered the texture of her skin, but also the fabric of her life, weaving a tale of medical mystery and the pursuit of diagnosis that would eventually lead her across continents in search of hope and healing. As Charmaine entered her 20s, the full severity of neurofibromatosis, type 1, NF1, began to unveil itself with unrelenting clarity. What had started as mere bumps had proliferated across her entire body, manifesting not only as surface blemishes, but as deep, invasive tumors that began to disrupt the very functions of her body. Charmaine's face, once smooth and expressive, became a landscape marred by tumors. The most troubling of these growths took residence at critical junctures, one pressing dangerously against her nasal passages, increasingly making it a struggle to breathe normally. Nights became particularly terrifying. Lying down exacerbated the pressure on her nasal pathways, turning sleep into a fitful, interrupted battle for air. Another large tumor, which she sorrowfully named Frank, after a fictional character known for his cumbersome nature, developed in her mouth. Frank made eating not just difficult, but painful, turning every meal into a slow, deliberate act of necessity rather than enjoyment. Speaking, too, became an ordeal, as her once clear voice was now muffled and strained, forcing her to retreat further into isolation, away from social interactions that had become riddled with embarrassment and misunderstanding. The physical encumbrances were just one aspect. The tumors invaded her life's functionality. A significant growth on her leg curtailed her mobility, transforming her walk into a painful shuffle. Simple tasks like moving around her home, shopping for groceries, or even engaging in leisurely walks in the park with her family became monumental tasks that required planning and considerable effort. Each tumor, each growth, and each new encroachment upon her physical autonomy highlighted the severity of NF1. Charmaine lived not just with the fear of what the next day would bring in terms of growth, but with the acute awareness that her condition could deteriorate to a point where she might lose her ability to perform even the most basic functions independently. This reality underscored the extreme nature of her condition, marking each day with a mix of resilience and trepidation. The severity of Charmaine's condition escalated as the years wore on, marking her body and life with relentless challenges. The once small, ignorable bumps had grown into large, obtrusive tumors that now dominated her physical landscape and drastically hindered her day-to-day activities. One particularly aggressive tumor, lodged near her respiratory tract, had grown to such a size that breathing became a laborious task. Each breath was shallow, each night fraught with the fear of suffocation. Eating, too, had transformed from a simple daily necessity into a complicated chore. The tumor inside her mouth, which she had named Frank, had become so invasive that it interfered with her ability to chew and speak. Conversations were exhausting, and meals were slow, deliberate affairs, where each bite had to be carefully managed to avoid pain. The physical manifestations of neurofibromatosis. Type 1 were severe, but the psychological impact was equally debilitating. Charmaine felt her independence slipping away as the tumors impaired more of her basic functions. Walking became a painstaking effort, requiring support and frequent rests. The visual impact of the tumors also brought unwanted stares and comments, deepening her social isolation. In the face of these escalating challenges, Charmaine's resilience was tested daily. Each tumor not only represented a physical barrier, but also a profound reminder of her fight for normalcy in a body that felt increasingly foreign. As Charmaine grappled with the growing severity of her neurofibromatosis type 1, the profound alterations to her daily life became more pronounced and disruptive. The tumors, once mere physical anomalies, had now morphed into relentless barriers that dictated every aspect of her existence. The challenges started with her morning routine. Waking up became a moment of reckoning each day as Charmaine assessed her physical state. Each new tumor, each increase in size, added another layer of difficulty to her day. Getting dressed was no longer a simple task. Clothes that fit comfortably one week strained against her skin the next, the fabric irritating her sensitive tumors. Social interactions, too, were fraught with difficulty. Charmaine had always been a vibrant part of her community in Chaguanas, participating in local events and social gatherings with enthusiasm. However, as the tumors became more visible, the reactions from others shifted palpably. The whispers, stares, and sometimes outright avoidance by acquaintances who were uncomfortable with her appearance wounded her deeply, chipping away at her social confidence. Her world, once filled with friendly conversations and communal camaraderie, contracted sharply, leaving her feeling isolated and stigmatized. Even her home life, which should have been a sanctuary, was affected. Simple domestic tasks like cooking or cleaning, which required mobility and stamina, became Herculean tasks. The tumor on her leg made standing for long periods painful, and bending to reach lower shelves was often out of the question. The independence she cherished was slipping away, replaced by a reliance on her sons for many household activities. Family outings, once a source of joy, were now rare and meticulously planned events. Charmaine dreaded any public excursion due to the physical demands and the potential social discomfort. Each outing required weighing the physical toll against her desire to participate in family life. More often than not, she chose to stay behind, missing precious moments like watching her grandchildren play in the park or attending community festivals. Yet, in the quiet moments of solitude that her condition imposed upon her, Charmaine found a reservoir of strength. She turned to craft, a hobby that allowed her to create beauty with her hands, which still obeyed her commands more than her legs did. Each piece she crafted was a testament to her resilience, a small declaration of defiance against the disorder that sought to define her life. Through all these changes, the essence of who Charmaine was remained undeterred. Her life was markedly altered, yes, but her spirit, her inner resilience, and her love for her family remained as strong as ever. She adapted, finding new ways to connect, new ways to be part of the gatherings she cherished, even if it meant joining via video calls or short visits. In these adaptations, Charmaine's altered life found new rhythms, albeit slower and more deliberate, but no less rich in love and determination. Charmaine's medical journey reached a critical juncture as the interventions available in Trinidad became increasingly inadequate for her escalating needs. Over the years, her local doctors had tried various treatments to manage her neurofibromatosis type 1, pain management, minor surgical interventions, and medication to slow the growth of the tumors. However, these measures barely scratched the surface of her complex medical needs, providing only temporary relief without addressing the underlying progression of her condition. The turning point arrived during a particularly grueling visit to a clinic in Port of Spain. That day, Charmaine had been struggling to breathe more than usual. The tumor obstructing her nasal passages had grown, and no amount of medication seemed to alleviate her distress. As she sat in the crowded waiting room, gasping for each breath, the reality of her situation crystallized. The local medical facilities, though staffed by caring professionals, were simply not equipped with the necessary resources or expertise to provide the comprehensive care she desperately needed. It was during this visit, while feeling particularly vulnerable and frustrated, that Charmaine overheard a conversation about a renowned surgical oncologist in Los Angeles, Dr. Ryan Osborne. Known for his pioneering approaches to complex head and neck tumors, Dr. Osborne had developed a reputation for taking on cases that others deemed too risky or difficult. Driven by a mixture of desperation and hope, Charmaine began to research Dr. Osborne and his work. Each testimonial and case study she read built a small beacon of hope in her heart. After discussing it with her family, Charmaine made the brave decision to reach out to Dr. Osborne's clinic. The response was encouragingly swift. Dr. Osborne was interested in her case and believed he could help. This interaction was the lifeline she had been searching for, a chance not just for treatment, but for a transformation in her quality of life. Emboldened by this glimmer of hope, Charmaine and her family started the arduous process of arranging her travel to the United States. It was a daunting endeavor, fraught with logistical challenges and the fear of the unknown. Yet the possibility of a life beyond the constant pain and social isolation fueled her determination. Selling personal belongings to fund the trip, organizing her medical records, and securing a medical visa occupied the next few months of her life. The decision to travel 4,000 miles from home to place her fate in the hands of a doctor she had never met was both terrifying and exhilarating. It marked a new chapter in her life, filled with the promise of advanced medical interventions. This moment, this turning point, was not just about seeking relief from her symptoms. It was about reclaiming her dignity and autonomy, about making a bold move towards a future where she could breathe freely, engage more fully with her family, and once again participate in the community life she longed to enjoy. Charmaine's journey for hope began on a humid morning in Trinidad, filled with a mix of nervous excitement and the fear of the unknown. Accompanied by her eldest son, she embarked on the long journey to Los Angeles, carrying not just her luggage but also a heavy load of anticipation about the medical relief that might await her. It was a monumental step, leaving behind the comfort of her community and the familiarity of her home for a chance at a life-changing treatment thousands of miles away. The flight was the longest she had ever taken, and every hour in the air was a mixture of discomfort and hope. Each turbulence-induced shudder mirrored the turmoil in her heart. Despite the physical discomforts, managing her pain, ensuring her tumors weren't aggravated, Charmaine felt a soaring sense of possibility. Over the years, her world had slowly shrunk to the confines of her home and immediate surroundings. But now, as she flew across oceans and continents, her world expanded exponentially. Upon landing in Los Angeles, the reality of her bold decision fully hit her. The sprawling city starkly contrasted to the smaller scale of life back in Trinidad. The first few days were a whirlwind of medical appointments, tests, and consultations. Dr. Osborne and his team welcomed her with warmth and professionalism, which eased her initial fears. For the first time in many years, Charmaine felt seen. not as a case study, but as a person in need of help. Dr. Osborne's clinic was equipped with the latest medical technology, something Charmaine had only seen in magazines and on television. During their first meeting, Dr. Osborne took the time to explain the complexities of her condition in a way no other doctor had before. He outlined a detailed treatment plan that not only focused on the surgical removal of the tumors, but also on improving her overall quality of life. His confidence and empathy were infectious, and for the first time, Charmaine allowed herself to believe that change was possible truly. Throughout her stay in Los Angeles, Charmaine experienced moments of profound loneliness and homesickness. She missed her family, her friends, and the familiar rhythms of her daily life. However, these feelings were counterbalanced by the supportive new relationships she formed with the medical staff and other patients at the clinic. These connections provided her with a sense of community and belonging, a reminder that her journey for hope was supported by a network of individuals who admired her courage and were invested in her recovery. Each day of treatment in Los Angeles brought Charmaine closer to the hope she had carried across the ocean, a hope for fewer tumors, less pain, and a more active participation in life. This journey, sparked by desperation, was now illuminated by the real potential for healing and renewal. The surgical challenge that awaited Charmaine in Los Angeles was immense and fraught with complexity. Dr. Ryan Osborne had outlined a series of operations that were both ambitious and risky, given the extensive spread and number of tumors. The medical team prepared for a marathon of procedures aimed not just at removing the tumors, but at reconstructing the affected areas to restore functionality and appearance as much as possible. Each surgery was planned with meticulous precision. The team used advanced imaging techniques to map out the tumors, strategizing the best ways to access and remove them while minimizing damage to surrounding tissues. The first surgery was scheduled to address the tumors obstructing Charmaine's breathing. This initial procedure was critical, as it would significantly impact her quality of life by allowing her to breathe more easily. As Charmaine lay in the pre-op room, the gravity of her situation settled in. She was about to undergo a procedure that few in her home country could have performed, a testament to both her bravery and desperation for a better life. The operation room was a flurry of activity as nurses, anesthesiologists, and surgeons worked in concert. Dr. Osborne, calm and focused, reassured Charmaine as she was administered anesthesia, her last memory before waking up being his comforting words of encouragement. The surgery took several hours, longer than expected, due to the intricacy of the tumor's placement and the care needed to preserve nerve function and minimize bleeding. Post-surgery, Charmaine awoke to the relief of breathing more freely, though accompanied by considerable pain. The recovery was slow and not without setbacks. Infection was a constant risk, and the pain management was a delicate balance to maintain her comfort without impairing her recovery. Each visit from Dr. Osborne brought news of progress and plans for the next steps, providing both comfort and a reminder of the long road still ahead. Subsequent surgeries targeted the tumors on her face and neck, each procedure bringing visible changes. With each removal, her features, previously obscured or distorted by growths, began to re-emerge. Her son, who accompanied her, marveled at the transformation, capturing each milestone with photos that Charmaine would later view with mixed emotions: sorrow for the years lost to her condition and hope for the future now unfolding. Throughout this surgical marathon, Charmaine experienced a gamut of emotions, from fear and pain to hope and gratitude. Each successful surgery was a victory, not just for her, but for the medical team committed to her case. This series of surgeries was not just a medical challenge, it was a journey of transformation, each step forward a testament to human resilience and medical ingenuity. The impact of the treatment on Charmaine was profound and transformative. After enduring multiple surgeries, each one more challenging than the last, the changes were not just physical, but deeply emotional. As the tumors that had long marred her face and hindered her breathing were skillfully removed, Charmaine began to rediscover aspects of herself long obscured by her condition. With each passing day in recovery, the improvements became more evident. The removal of the tumor known as Frank from her mouth restored her ability to speak more clearly and eat without pain, rekindling her love for flavors and meals shared with her son, who stayed by her side throughout the ordeal. The significant reduction in the size and number of facial tumors allowed her to look in the mirror and see her reflection not dominated by NF1, but by her own eyes, her smile returning to her. Breathing easier and walking with less pain, Charmaine felt a resurgence of independence. She started to engage in once impossible activities, like taking extended walks and attending public events without the fear of undue attention or physical distress. This newfound freedom brought back a sense of normalcy and control over her life, igniting a powerful sense of hope and joy that radiated from her renewed spirit. Each improvement in her condition was a step back to the life she cherished before NF1 took its toll. Life after the surgeries ushered in a new era for Charmaine, one marked by rejuvenation and newfound possibilities. As she healed from the myriad procedures, each day brought subtle yet profound shifts. Her home in Trinidad, once a place adapted to her limitations, gradually transformed back into a space of freedom rather than confinement. With the tumors significantly reduced, Charmaine reclaimed the joys of simple daily activities. She could now take pleasure in long strolls around her neighborhood, something she hadn't done freely in years. These walks were not just exercises for her body, but also for her soul, allowing her to reconnect with neighbors and friends who marveled at her transformation and welcomed her back into the community with open arms. Moreover, Charmaine's relationship with her family deepened, freed from the constant focus on her medical needs. She could now enjoy gatherings without the underlying stress of her illness dominating every moment. Her newfound mobility and reduced pain meant she could actively participate in family life, from playing with her grandchildren in the yard to attending church services without the need for frequent breaks. Charmaine's life post-surgery was not just about the absence of tumors. It was about the return of her independence, the strengthening of her social bonds, and a profound appreciation for each new day. Her journey through pain and resilience culminated in a life reclaimed, filled with hope and the joys of everyday normalcy. As we conclude Charmaine's narrative, her journey from adversity to hope serves as a profound testament to the human spirit's resilience. This story isn't just about medical triumphs. It's about the personal victories achieved every day through courage and determination. It inspires us to remain hopeful and to embrace the possibilities of modern medicine, reminding us that renewal is always within reach. If Charmaine's story inspired you, please share it. Help spread awareness about neurofibromatosis, type 1, and the transformative medical treatments available. By sharing these stories, we increase understanding, encourage support, and perhaps guide others toward crucial interventions. Let's strengthen a community of awareness and support, ensuring no one has to face such challenges alone. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time. Each story we share casts light on struggles often hidden in shadows, offering hope and direction. Let's keep the light of hope burning by sharing knowledge and supporting those in need. Thank you for joining us on this journey of hope and healing.